when you walk in, the first building you come to is the Spice and Tea Exchange building, which has different types of teas and of course all of your spices.
They told the second richest man in the world no, and then he slapped down $10,000 on the table, and they said, yes sir, where do you want it? What do you want it to look like? He said, I wanted it 1.5 miles outside of downtown, and I want it to be pretty. I think they did a pretty good job. What do you think? Now they did such a good job that all the tourists coming down the railroad are thinking it's the new Flamingo Hotel.
Hi, Sarah.
I just made y'all talk to a statue. Now he is 6'6", weighs about 355 pounds. That's a big boy. You don't want to get on his bad side. He's the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And the only person this man fears is his wife, because he's smart. Trim, pretty windows, pretty curtains. Right? It's really pretty. You bet it looks real pretty on the inside, though, right? Yeah. It actually does look pretty on the inside. It's Sheriff Perry's office, bedroom, and deputy's quarters. So he's going to have rich politicians coming in to have meetings with him. So everything needs to look prim and proper. Don't worry, that's not people hanging from the tree. That's just Spanish moss. Do you guys know what lives inside of Spanish moss? Like little red bugs. They like to get into your skin, make a little home. Now for us ladies, that's going to feel more like a little back massage. And you might be wondering.
This box.
It smells like cigars in here, doesn't it?
Now, I don't know if you guys do remember the statue that I showed you in the beginning. He was holding onto a gun. And this is his original scatter gun. It's a double-barrel shotgun. And the reason why he called it a scatter gun is because when he rides to town, The other two went to Washington, D.C. to the president at the time, and then the third one went to New York to Rockefeller. So I'm not sure how Sheriff Perry ended up with that one. But right here on the table is the Oliver No. 9 typewriter. Now he bought that typewriter because when he would write arrest warrants for his deputies to make, they wouldn't be able to read it. And the last thing you're going to do when you work for Sheriff Perry is go up to him and ask him to rewrite something. So instead, they would usually just go downtown and arrest any drunk man they saw on the street.
The sheriff's there.
Oh, he got a nice spot.
Did he get shot? Oh, he's fine. Let's go.
Oh, wow. The sheriff living it up.
Yeah, he got a man. His spot is
He's
cool
got a
around. Yeah.
No, it's nice in here, right?
Yeah.
Now this is the sheriff's office. Of course, when you first walk in, you see the Bible, the family portrait. I'm going to shut this door. Dapper does not need to be here.
Okay.
But this right here is actually Sheriff Joe Perry, and he was 14 years old when this picture was taken.
Wow.
But if he were to stand up, he'd be 6'1" at 14 years old. Wow. Now, and the average male height in 1908 was 5'3". So you have a teenager, half the size of you, and he grows up to be 6'6". Absolutely terrifying, if you ask me. Now, as you can see, we are a hanging jail. We have had 8 documented hangings here. Keyword I used, documented. But the most recent one was Charlie Powell. In my opinion, he was a very respectful man. See, someone downtown was talking bad about his wife, and like any good man would, he went to defend her name. The only problem is, he brought his gun with him. The conversation got real heated real fast, and he shot the man dead right then and there. You, what kind of bird doesn't fly?
Jailbird.
You got it right, come on.
I seen it as it comes around and it's all down there. No.
Jeez, look how small.
You see the fake people in there? Still over there?
You step right here. Don't you dare. Now that is Sheriff Joe Perry himself. I mean, go ahead and take a look at those beady eyes for me. But don't stare too long, they might scare me.
Looks like he's looking right at me.
I know, right? It's terrifying. Now this is general population. It's made up of 14 cells. There's 6 on top, 8 on bottom, 4 bunks in each cell. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we're housing up to 130 inmates up here, so disease was spread like wildfire. The average so you kind of just hope and pray you get it out of there alive. And one reason
Maximum security.
yes, my personal favorite. Now this is maximum security. It's where the worst of the worst were kept. Murderers, horse thieves, bank robbers, all that jazz. Now men would be working the chain gang. These are shackles. They go around your ankle. One size fits all. And there, watch your step. Watch your step right there. And you would be on the wall, sir.
No.
Oh, wow.
And then you in here, watch your step. And then you also on the wall. Yeah, I mean, that was our escape to go to the bar, but yeah, you can close it. Now you gotta make it dramatic. This jail was built in 1881 or 1891. That's when we opened it, and it ran until 1953.
Then that got filled up over your home.
We are gonna make our way over to the kitchen, and I'll show you where us ladies are gonna be working. But ladies, while we're in here, you know, we should probably figure out what we're doing. We're feeding up to 130 inmates, and also the sheriff, the deputies, and his wife. So for the inmates, we got bricks, roadkill.
Look at this rolling pin.
I know, I love this stove. I want it.
It is, it's cool. I got an old one.
I got my mama's old wood stove.
I'm not saying any meat around here, the women cooking on the beef.
That's the bread warmer, right?
I think so. Don't ask me. It is a little broken though, or it was. But this is our cast iron stove. Of course, you'd light a fire and it'd heat it up. But this room has actually taken more lives than the whole history of the gallows because this stove is burning 24/7 at 145 degrees. Now remember, on a hot summer day, the
Thank you. I'm gonna banish all the bad luck in my life.
Hey, baby. You wanna go buy drink?
I'm gonna make it a yes. But thank you for letting me know.
So basically, this is just the general store. Pretty cool.
The squares.
Okay, so we are getting ready to do a tour called the Colonial Experience.
It is my job to explain to you all everything you'd like to know about our little 2 acres of history right here in downtown St. Augustine. Now folks, I don't know if you realize this, but the entirety of the city of St. Augustine is what we have legally deemed as hallowed ground. Do you all know what this means? No. Alright, well basically what it means is that there have been so many people who fought on this land over the years, so many people have died trying to defend it, that no matter where you're standing or sitting, you're probably standing or sitting right now on a dead body. Vests, saddles for your horses, but there was one thing that they never liked to make out of leather, and that was hats. They didn't like making leather hats. Anybody got a guess as to why?
Too hot.
Too hot. But there was another reason. See, every time somebody wore a leather hat, they always went crazy, and no one could explain why. 1800s by a pastor who wanted to be able to sing hymnals and play music at the same time. So we basically put a bunch of buttons on either end of a bellow, and when you push one button, it makes one sound. When you pull out, it makes another sound. That means each one of these pointy, stabby, and shooty, and of course, anything to protect you from the sharp, pointy, stabby, and shooty. This right here is a replica of a Spanish militia helmet. Weighs about 8 pounds, this helmet does. Now, would anyone here care to feel how heavy this is? Would you pass that around? Thank you, young man. Would you actually hand that over this way? Let everybody get a chance to hold that. This right here, though, is an actual firing black powder flintlock musket replica. You leave a single word out of that, it's no longer true. Now, they call this a flintlock because down here is a little piece of flint that hits a little piece of steel. And what happens when flint hits steel? Anything you need made out of metal. This does include all of the chains, the locks, the nails, the hooks. In fact, chains were a brand new innovation for the Spanish. This new design of chains was used in everything. Even things where ropes were better, they would use chains instead because they said, we invented them, they'll be better. So chains were a big deal. In fact, is red hot black iron. Now they call it black iron because, well, it's black and it's iron, and well, that's where we get the term blacksmithing from the iron they used to work with, and from the term smith comes from the word smite, to smack something with a hammer. Now down here where it wasn't in the fire, I Too many irons in the fire, you might get confused on what you're working with. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of beeswax and I'm going to put this beeswax on the metal. Now beeswax, I'm sure you all are curious, why is he using beeswax? Well, you see the metal itself is rather porous, means it's got lots of little holes in it. Now if water gets in these holes, it just starts to rust the metal, so instead we put beeswax on it. Now of course, we wouldn't want to put too much beeswax on it. This could set the metal on fire. And if it set the metal on fire, why, it could set the whole building on fire. So you leave this to the professionals who know what they're doing, won't set the metal on fire. It's where we get the phrase, mind your beeswax, means pay attention to what you're doing, otherwise I'm usually here only on weekends and Tuesdays. So it's nice and cool in there. Oh, then you enjoying it?
They sleep on those beds.
Now I suppose I should ask, has anybody here ever fired a cannon before? Show of hands. No? No, just me? Okay. In that case, I ought to teach you the proper procedure to loading a cannon like this. Now before I do, I would like to let you know of my own personal house rule.
Fuego!
Thank you, you were listening. I yell fire in the hole, I point to you all say fuego. The cannon will then go boom, and then I want us all to say, huzzah! Huzzah! Very good, you guys now know your lines. Let's light this fuse up just like they did back in the day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to cover your ears, or the ears of any little ones you may have with you, now would be the time. Ready? Fire in the hole!
Fuego!
And now we all say huzzah! España!
¡Va España!
Yeah, it was. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me say thank you so much for joining me here today in the Colonial Quarters. I hope you've had a wonderful time. If you guys got any last-minute questions for me, Cooper, you're certainly welcome to come up and ask. And folks, if you did
It's all well. So I ended up climbing up the tower. Very nice view. So that was a real nice tour. Learned a lot of history, but if you do climb up the watchtower, just know it shakes.